Break out the carrot sticks and natural yogurt, no artificial hormones added. It's time for the Doctor's Nutrition Show. Dr. Lewis and Janet have a long history of helping people achieve their maximum potential. While Janet is a certified natural health consultant with a unique perspective of alternative and complementary nutrition, Dr. Lewis stays current on the latest research pertaining to nutritional supplements and optimum health. Paramount to their educational journey was their trip to China while studying Chinese medical doctors. Dr. Lewis and Janet know the importance of proper nutrition in the healing process and maintenance of the human body. Get ready to gain a healthy perspective on life. This is the Doctor's Nutrition Show.
Welcome to this week's show. I'm Janet Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Lewis.
He's your natural thyroid specialist, and we are located in Texas under doctorsnutrition.org. We've got a very exciting show for you today called 1 Degree of Change, where we're going to discuss with you how to make little simple changes to your diet where you can make big progress with your health. So many little things that people may or may not realize, but we thought we'd go back to just the basics and kind of give you just some general guidelines to help you make better food choices and cooking choices and all of that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. So how many of you have read several different diet books and been confused? Because if you'll notice all the research out there, there's so many conflicting reports about everything, not just diet. You know, this is good, this is bad. We're going to get more into the thyroid on later podcasts. But first of all, I think we need to learn to eat correctly because, you know, some of these diet books, Ornish people says it's too much fat. Atkins people say it's too many carbohydrates. The juice people say it's too much soda. You know, the soda people think it's lack of exercise. And it goes on and on and on. And then you have your vegans and vegetarians. I personally like the Atkins Paleo Primal stuff because, in my opinion, if you go low glycemic by cutting the carbs way back, you increase the fat amount, good fats, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Then your body gets used to burning fat instead of burning the glucose from the carbohydrates. And generally speaking, most people will lose twice as much weight on an Atkins Paleo Primal diet than they do on anything else. And then you got your South Beach. I mean, you know, I've read many dozens of books. They're all good because they teach you the very thing that Janet and I are going to talk about in today's show.
Right. There are 5 key changes that I guess is a good place to start. We can just address number 1 about removing bad fats and replace them with good fats. Could you tell us exactly what kind of fats you're talking about to remove and what we should be replacing them with?
Hydrogenated, partially hydrogenated trans fats. And you have to be aware, folks, that even though some processed foods say 0 trans fats, our Food and Drug Administration, according to some experts, say that our FDA allows them to put trans fats in and call them 0 fats. So the point here is stay away from processed foods. If it has, there's all kinds of so-called experts. And again, they say conflicting things. So you have to find out the expert that you want to follow, which I think Janet and I are good because we don't listen to this side or this side. We put every piece of your puzzle into the equation to figure it out. And that's why we use the low-cost lab work. But if it's packaged, pretty much leave it alone. If it's in a box, boxes are good for catching cats. You throw a box down, a cat magically appears. So, if your food's coming out of a box, it's usually really, really bad for you.
Well, I think it's kind of interesting. There is a simple acronym to use to remember which fats are best for you, and we call it BACON. And no, it doesn't mean to eat bacon. Not to eat the fat off bacon.
Hey.
But bacon stands for butter or ghee, because that's a good fat. Avocados is the A, or avocado oil.
We do lots of avocados.
C is coconut oil, cream, milk. Or O is olive oil or olives.
Janet loves olives, but you have to stuff them with jalapenos or garlic.
And N is for nut oils. So
I eat walnuts every time I get home at night. And, of course, she calls me a nut, but I don't think she means a walnut. But I do it for heart health, so I can hang around longer and feel better.
so you can remember to eat bacon for your good fats. And there's actually some guidelines for cooking with fats. If you're going to use, you got high heat, avocado oil, coconut oil, grapeseed oil, peanut oil, sesame oil is the best for high heat cooking. And then your medium heat oils are almond oil, butter, olive oil, peanut oil, or walnut oil.
And we use a lot of pecan oil also, just because down here in the South, from Texas down across the deep South, Janet and I usually pick it up in Louisiana and Mississippi. So pecan oil is great too, right there along with walnut oil.
Yeah, it is. And then the low heat oils are your hemp oil, fish oil, flaxseed oil, olive oil, which is the extra virgin, sesame oil, or any nut oil. So that kind of helps you with knowing which ones to cook with. So, go ahead.
Yeah, well, as I say, I like Atkins Paleo Primal, and that means eat a lot of meat. So I hate to say it, but some of the best meats you can eat is wild game, venison, and, the elk. And I've killed a couple of elk. My daughter killed one time. Venison, and I've not shot a deer since 2005. I may never shoot another deer. I don't know. But we still have a lot of wild pigs here. So wild game, ducks, we're getting geese down here in Texas too. Lamb, which is not a very popular dish down here, but probably should be. But now when you're picking out, your beef and chicken and turkey, it's better to go organic, grass-fed, free-range, antibiotic-free, and look for those things.
Yeah, because they'll put one or so of those things on it, but then they may not be completely organic.
Yeah, and the eggs, they may say cage-free, but they don't tell you how big a space that chicken has, or they may say free-range. You may have a huge hen house with 10,000 chickens, but they only have a 10 by 10 outside area, which you can't fit, but about 100 chickens in there. So beware of the labels, and we're going to go into later and talk about that. But as much as you can, get the organic eggs from free-range chickens, or get to know your local farmer. And when I gave up my chickens, my friend, he was going to feed them just any old chicken feed. Well, I called the lady at the feed store, and I said, I want you to sell him non-genetically modified organic stuff, just like my chickens have always had, because now that he has my chickens, and I said, he won't know the difference. And my chickens are getting the good stuff, even though he doesn't know it, and he just brought us 24 eggs today. So it does matter what you feed them, folks.
Well, it's interesting that grass-fed and free-range meats offer many fatty acids that are missing in our sad American standard diet. So when you're buying the free-range meats, then you actually get more of the essential fatty acid that you're supposed to have that you don't pick up in other meats. So that's one of the reasons why to buy them that way.
That's a good point. And when you say grass-fed, you want to make sure it's from your neighbor, and it's grass-fed, not grass-finished like some of the feedlot cows are.
What is the grass finish? What does that mean? They finish them off on grass once they...
Yeah, they've been in the feedlot, knee-deep in their own excrement over in West Texas and New Mexico. When you drive by, you have to hold your breath for an hour or two, depending on which way the wind's blowing.
So they carry them to the grass to get finish eating before they kill them, so it looks like they're healthier?
Just so they can have that label on it.
Oh, wow.
And, one of the reasons why obesity is not nearly as much of a problem, say, in Australia and New Zealand, is because they do much, much, much more grass-fed beef, lambs, goats, and chickens. And that produces in the meat something called CLA, or conjugated linolenic acid. And, we sell it as a supplement, and some people take it, and all of a sudden they start losing a little bit here and a little bit there, because it begins to help your body burn fat. And that's why I like the Atkins Paleo Primal, because the more fat you eat, the more fat your body burns. And I've seen so many different food diaries from people that says, but I'm taking your stuff and I feel wonderful. but I'm not losing any weight. And when you send me a food diary, the ones that are eating very, very healthy, but they're not necessarily eating correctly to lose weight, they'll be high in fruits, which is sugar, moderate in carbohydrates because they've cut it back. And I said, well, you've got to go low fat. And one of the key things in losing weight is eat good stuff, but eat half as much of it. People look at us and say, holy cow, the Lewises don't eat that much. Well, it's not like I'm skinny. I'm still a few pounds overweight, 178 and 5'10".
And I'm not going to say what I am.
Janet's actually pretty thin.
Janet could lose some more too.
No,
we could have a
perfect.
plate of food and be fine.
Yeah, and Janet's thinner, lower body fat. But, I could stand to lose 10 pounds. And I do, as soon as I up the fat intake and eat lots and lots and lots of green vegetables and lots of avocados, which is full of fat, put, I don't know, we eat a lot of butter.
And there's something about not eating heavy at night after 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
You really can lose more weight and feel better and sleep better if you will not eat heavy after 6 o'clock.
And the right amount of good deep sleep actually reduces your stress hormones, which reduces weight. So good sleep.
One of the ideal protein choices, they say, is beaver. Have you ever had beaver?
Nope.
I haven't either.
I've eaten. I thought I'd only not eaten possum, but I've never eaten a beaver either.
I can't even imagine. I don't know where they eat beaver. It's probably up north or something, but Texas, we don't really eat beavers.
Yeah, but we're getting a lot of beavers around here. I see them on the side of the road by the Sabine River or Caddo Lake or Lake of the Pines.
Maybe Louisiana.
Well, yeah. You know what they eat down there. I had a friend. He brought some gumbo one time. We were roofing a house up in Dallas after the major hailstorm many years ago, and I said, hey, George Joffrey, what is this? He said, you don't want to know. And so we ate it, and it was absolutely, oh, my God, delicious. And he said, that was swamp rat. I said, what do you mean swamp rat? He said, nutria. That's like a beaver with a rat tail. And it's like, well, it tasted good. But
so if you're a vegetarian or now wishing you were a vegetarian.
Or you're nauseous.
Yes. We do offer a package that has a lot of these products in there for health and, for your nutrition and to help you lose weight and to get on a better diet if you don't particularly have a good diet at all. So if you can't seem to find time to cook like this says and you just want to take some things that help make you a little bit healthier, we call it our Live It Up package to help you live it up.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that have bought that, and they'll call back in a month and say, oh, my God, I really feel better, sleep better, poop better, and have more energy.
Yes, it does not require lab work. It's something you can purchase on our website at doctorsnutrition.org. It's drsnutrition.org. It contains Alzyme, which is actually our featured product of the day. Alzyme is something to help you break down those foods. So if you're eating these good things like we're talking about, but you still feel like you have problems with belching, bloating, gas, just not eliminating properly.
Even if you don't have those symptoms, the chances are really high that you need extra digestive enzymes anyway.
Yeah, so Alzyme takes care of that. Flora Plus, because everybody needs to replace the good bacteria in their guts or replace the bacteria in their guts with good, which is the Flora Plus. It helps re-inoculate the gut like putting good fertilizer in your soil.
And they do a lot of work, actually help improve thyroid function, which, I'll get to at a later date.
And like I said, if you can't cook with those good oils, we have them available in a capsule called Omega EPAs.
And you need to do that anyway. You can't get too many omega-3s.
They're full of the good essential fats, and that comes with the package, as well as daily stress capsules. They're full of all kind of things that help eliminate stress and make your mind flow easier and make people around you look nicer.
And no, ladies, you can't rub daily stress on your husband and make it go away. You have to give it to him unknowingly in his coffee or something, or you take it just to be in defense of him.
And finally, the last product on it is Mega Vites 1. It's a multivitamin, and it's got a little bit of everything. We call it the kitchen sink multivitamin. We've thrown everything in there, so people want to take one vitamin a day. That's it. It's called Mega Vites 1, and it all comes together in our Live It Up package. So if you want to start somewhere, start there, because that's a really good place. And now we're going to get in number 3 of the 1 degree of change, which is replacing and reducing refined sugars in your diet. There's a lot of people that come in here and tell us they drink diet drinks every day trying to lose weight. They do Splenda. They do
sucralose, aspartame,
yes.
And that stuff causes cancer, and it also messes with your thyroid. If your thyroid goes bad, hey, you're sluggish, you're moody, you gain weight, it could cause your heart to not function correctly. So,
and other things like high fructose corn syrup that seems to be hiding in many of our products that you don't even realize.
Keep your kids off of it. Read the labels, folks.
Yes, you'll see like ketchup and things like that have high fructose corn syrup in them.
Or even applesauce. We were looking one time, and out of about 12 different choices, we only found one applesauce that didn't have high fructose corn syrup in it.
Yes, and I was just going to buy some tomato relish. You would think it would just have tomatoes and it was pickled in vinegar or something like that, and it was all healthy. Well, I looked on there; it had high fructose corn syrup in it, and I thought, so you think you're eating healthy or buying something healthy, and then it actually has these hidden sugars in there that were sabotaging you from your weight loss goals.
And then you get the mercury from your high fructose corn syrup, which fries your brain cells. And can cause all sorts of cancers.
So they say that the American Heart Association has stated that most American women should eat or drink no more than 100 calories per day from added sugars. And most American men should eat or drink no more than 150 calories per day from added sugars. So that's roughly 6 teaspoons a day for women and 9 teaspoons a day for men of sugar.
And that's still too much.
Yeah.
Again, you got to get more fat in so your body begins to burn fat, not sugar.
So are there some natural sugar alternatives so that we can enjoy something sweet every now and then?
Yeah, you can do a little bit of stevia, and I don't think a large amount of stevia is a good thing. And there are some stevias that have been adulterated. You have to be very, very careful which brand you buy, so make sure it's just straight stevia. Some people like to sweeten with bananas, which, if you've got a blood sugar problem, bananas are like an average of 55 grams of carbohydrates per banana. So if you've got high blood sugar and need some weight loss, bananas are not a really good choice. And some people use dates. It's like, geez, we don't see that here. We're not in the Middle East where they have them a lot. But my favorite is local honey. And hey, guess what? Janet's just bought me a whole bunch of beehives, a whole bunch to me. I think we got six coming, something like that, plus the 3 I used to have. One of them died, so I'm learning how to be a beekeeper or a bee tender. We're not sure which. Are they keeping me? But I'm getting really excited about it because the local honey is really, really good, and one of these days I might have 100 hives. I don't know.
Yeah, and I like coconut sugar.
Oh, yeah, that's a good.
I think that's really a great one to sweeten with also. Again, you can overdo it. Any of the sweeteners, just because they're natural, doesn't mean eat all you can. It just means it's a better choice.
And Janet and I, pretty much in every beverage we have, from water to beer, we squeeze lime in it because even though that's a fruit, it contains no fructose. Lemon only has a very minimal amount of fructose in it. And that's why if you got blood sugar issues and a little bit overweight, have to pretty much stay away from the fruits.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about replacing our grains with pseudo grains. And pseudo grains are seeds and grasses we commonly classify as grains, but are truly not. They're superfoods that are high in protein and fiber and low on the glycemic scale, which means they won't raise your sugar so much. And some of the pseudo grains that you can add into your diet are like buckwheat,
quinoa,
teff,
millet,
wild rice,
amaranth.
Yep.
If you're going to do a grain, do barley or rye in a beer. Don't eat that stuff. It's not good for you. Rye bread's not good for you. It's not good for you in a beer either. I'm tongue-in-cheek, sort of teasing.
Yeah, the majority of grains are associated with inflammation in your body.
And be aware of how they sell some of this stuff because, there's been a big push on, well, if you eat oatmeal, it will lower your cholesterol by 15 points in 2 or 3 months. Well, folks, your cholesterol can vary 20% day to day. And high cholesterol is usually a problem with your liver, your thyroid, some of your endocrine system, and your GI tract. So it's not so much what's in your diet as long as you stay away from the sugars and the carbs.
And grains are actually associated with a variety of digestive issues in some people. I happen to be one of those people. One of the grains to avoid is popcorn. I love popcorn. And I even buy it organic.
Organic, non-genetically modified, but she does a very small amount of it. And she does sea salt, not regular table salt, and with the really good butter.
Yeah.
So it's less offensive. And again, she's pretty thin, so she's not overdoing it.
Yeah, but that is actually one of the grains you should avoid is corn and popcorn. Wheat, rye, barley, oats, there goes the oatmeal, rice, sorghum, and bulgur cracked wheat.
That just sounds vulgar, doesn't it?
I know. Just don't eat if it's got that bulgur word on there. And the other problem with it, which most of you have heard, is most of the corn and soy grains are genetically modified in the United States. So to add insult to injury, it's not just because they're not a good grain for you. Now they're also sprayed or genetically modified. So then you've got all these things on there that create problems.
My question is, if they're so proud of their genetically modified organisms, why do they spend tens of millions of dollars to hide it and to keep the government from forcing them to label it as genetically modified? Folks, one of the best things you can do, plant seeds of health by supporting organizations that are fighting for your rights to know what's in your food. Yes, folks, it really matters, because did you know that 6 years after the introduction of genetically modified grain, did you know allergies went up 216% in 6 years? And that's out of your GI tract. Have you noticed the GI tract is the common denominator in thyroid problems, obesity, heart disease, cancer, da-da-da-da-da-da? So genetically modified organisms, you need to do your small part to fight it, or at least make these companies label them. That way you have a choice, because America's supposed to still be predicated on freedom. So have the freedom to make a choice. Oh, it's genetically modified. I'll buy it, or I won't. I won't do it. It's like, I think I'll pass. So GMOs, stay the heck away from it.
Well, people always say I have a gluten intolerance, but did you know that there's a protein found in some processed grains that is helping people with their intolerance to gluten?
And gluten, did you know, is about 40 times higher than it was just a few decades ago, because of the way that we have genetically modified and because of the way we fertilize with NPK. 40 times more gluten. It hasn't increased the yield of the crop, which is what they said is the reason we want to genetically modify them. So it's not feeding the world like they said. That's another pseudo lie, like a pseudo grain.
So what happens if you eat them? Eating or overeating them on a regular basis can lead to elevated insulin levels and insulin sensitivity, so type 2 diabetes.
If you're more than 10 pounds overweight, you have insulin sensitivity, and that's one of the lab test that we added was insulin, and it has the range, but you need to be on the low end of the range. It doesn't matter as well. It does matter, but that's another way of us figuring out, is your glucose versus your A1C correct versus are you insulin resistant? If you're insulin resistant, then you're leptin resistant, and you're not going to lose weight until you change that.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that lab, because that lab is something that keeps us from guessing. And if you're listening to this going, well, I'm not really sure if I'm doing this. I'm trying to do it right, but maybe I don't do it right. The lab we do is so much more in depth than anything that you've brought from your doctor's office. Almost 100% of the time. Yeah. I mean, people will bring us lab, which is fine, but it's generally 1 or 2 panels, and it's things that you're asking for specifically that you think is wrong with you. But what if you really don't know what's wrong with you, and you're guessing? So then the doctor's running a lab based on what you tell them. What if you're missing the boat altogether? When we run the lab, we run 12 panels of lab, so we run those tests your doctor's running, but we also add things to it like iron. Because if your stored iron is too low or too high, you could have a problem with being anemic and can't get well, and you're tired, and you think that maybe it's these grains doing it, and maybe you've got an iron problem. Maybe you've got some sort of underlying virus. We run and check for that. We check your vitamin D levels with your sugars to see where you are. Like Dr. Lewis said, we not only check your glucose, which is, just a day or two worth of your diet or eating well. A lot of people eat really great right before they go to the doctor. But we run something called an A1C that gives us a 3-month insulin or glucose level to see what you're really doing. And God love y'all. It seems like we're getting younger and younger people that are catching on to health out there, and they are doing something about it before it becomes a problem. We have 30-year-olds that are telling us, like, can I run my lab and see what's going on? I am so proud of y'all for trying to take action.
Yes. And
change your health before it's too late.
Yeah, the society's talking about the millennials. Well, I had a 23-year-old young man in here yesterday. It's like the millennials... I'm a baby boomer. They're smarter than a lot of people give them credit for.
Well, and then they come in and we run their lab. Well, their 3-month blood sugar may look great. But like Dr. Lewis said, we run something called insulin. Because we've had people come in here and tell us, well, I eat, at some of these fast food restaurants, I drink some of these energy drinks, and their 3-month blood sugar was always looking good. And we thought, well, what is going on that it always looks that way?
And why are you 100 pounds overweight while it looks that way?
Yes, so we added insulin in, and then we were able to see, hey, boy, they are trying to wear this pancreas out, but it's still young enough that it's keeping up for now. But if they keep doing this, they're going to be a diabetic down the road. So we can now see different areas of where you are with your health. So it's not just about running 1 or 2 panels. It's about running an entire overall picture of what's going on with you and giving you a plan of what to do to help keep you well. And Dr. Lewis does all of that for free. The only cost that you're out is the cost of the lab. And we can do the lab across the United States. So if you think, well, they're in Texas because I can hear that accent, you're right, we are, but we have labs available across the United States. So go on our website to doctorsnutrition.org, drsnutrition.org, fill out the health survey, and let us start helping you having a life worth living. And I think the number 5 thing we need to talk about a little bit here is about drinking water. Because that's another thing that people really seem to tell me they don't like. And if they tell us they don't like water, that's one of the first signs to us that you're really sick. Because you're really supposed to be drinking water. Cokes, tea, coffee doesn't cut it, even though there's water in some of it. It's not water. And the water is actually, we always tell people to buy the stuff that's reverse osmosis. And if you're wondering what that is, it's a filtration, the way they filter it. Because if you're drinking tap water, it's filled with so many chemicals, antibiotics, birth control pills, people throwing them down the septic system.
Yeah, they're finding fish now with antidepressants, and the fish are coming out of the ocean. So we're that polluted.
Right. So if you're drinking that water, you're trying to be healthy, but then you're drinking all these chemicals. It isn't really being advantageous to you. And now you're seeing all this stuff on the news about the water that's contaminated in so many people's cities. We tell you to do reverse osmosis. It's something you can buy and put under your kitchen sink. There are some water companies that sell it. You just need to read the label that says it's done with reverse osmosis filtration.
So even though it's out of a plastic bottle, which is not good, it's still much better than tap water. And, we'll talk to you about the real food pyramid if you want. It's not what the government said it should be. There's actually a book called Death by Food Pyramid, but it should be greens, colored vegetables, proteins, water, fresh fruits, omega-3 fats, herbs, spices, organic teas, and coffee. I'm not talking about the food pyramid from Texas, which is beer, brisket, barbecue, and Bluebell, but Shiner beer. That's not the right food pyramid. So go to the natural one, which is heavy in the fruits and vegetables, good clean proteins, water, omega-3 fats.
So there's 3 basic rules of food purchases. Your food should ideally have 5 ingredients or less. So if they're making up your food and it has all these different ingredients on there that you don't know what part of them are, you probably should avoid it.
Yeah, MSG, we know it's bad for us since 1974, and there's about 30 different names of MSG where they put it in and you don't know it's there. So try to avoid things with very many ingredients at all.
So what's a food that you're saying? Well, what's a food that doesn't have? What's 5 ingredients or less?
What we ate for supper last night, which was avocado, tomato, onion, garlic, and what else? A little bit of slap your mama for a kick, maybe.
And some lime juice.
Oh, lime, that was it.
So basically, lean meat, fresh vegetables, because they have less ingredients in them. So that would take you away from buying packaged foods, which are usually full of all kind of different ingredients. And then, you just need to try to buy food as whole or as close to its original form as possible.
Whereas Janet always says, shop around the edges of the supermarket, not down the aisles, because the edges is where they have the meat, the dairy, the fruits, the vegetables. Shop around there. And, the expeller pressed oils, the oils that we talked about are very important.
Right. And that would leave ice cream out, too, huh? Is that around the outside edges?
That's part of my food pyramids, Bluebell.
Well, we really appreciate you tuning in to this week's show. We hope you've learned something today. We're going to have a very exciting show for you again next week. It's going back into another part of the thyroid. It's very interesting, actually. So please tune in again next week right here on our show. We hope you have a very blessed week.
Thank you very much.